I think I work for an AI. When I first noticed this part-time job, it didn't strike me as anything strange. I regularly monitor sites like Craigslist looking for small tasks to earn a few extra dollars. This was one such offer. Take pictures of a house to post on a rental platform. The payment looked tempting, so I didn't hesitate. I submitted the request. The first conversation with the customer was, well, unusual to say the least. We contacted by phone, and from the very beginning something was wrong. Every phrase I said, he thought for too long. The pauses lasted 3 to 4 seconds. Imagine how awkward that is. You say, "Hi, glad to help. When do you want me to come over?" And there's silence in response, as if the person has stepped away from the phone, followed by a belated "sounds great." Okay, I decided, maybe it was a bad connection or the person was just busy. But then the weirdness began. All subsequent communication was conducted exclusively by text. And the messages were so laconic that it seemed that they were written by a robot. "Thank you. Here is the address. When can you finish?" Not a single complete sentence. No emotion. Just dry instructions. And then this. Every time I tried to call, he was supposedly in a meeting. It didn't matter when I called, morning, afternoon, or evening, the same answer. It no longer seemed like a coincidence. When I completed the work, the process always looked the same. It would ask me which method I preferred to receive the money, Cash App, Zelle, or something else. My answer was followed by the standard message, "Great. Accounting will send payment within 24 hours. And I have to admit, the money did come. Not once was there a delay. I took a couple more similar orders, and each time everything went exactly according to this scenario. Minimal communication, the same template phrases, instant transfers. Here's what I realized. There's no real person behind it all. Or at least there's not just one person there. Maybe it's just a program that automatically assigns tasks and then plugs someone in to verify or process payments. Or it's an AI. You know, this sounds like something out of the movies, but I'm starting to wonder. Maybe we're already in a world where machines are starting to take over jobs. Maybe I'm not working for a human at all, but merely servicing an algorithm? Frankly, the thought makes me uncomfortable. But as long as they pay me, I will continue. Although I should probably start asking more questions. Updated. Once I received another such request. Typical. Take a picture of a house to add it to the database. I already knew how it would go. Short message, minimum words, standard phrases like, "Thanks, accounting will pay within 24 hours. Nothing new. But this time the address was strange. It was a house in a completely different part of town, in a rather old neighborhood. When I arrived, the first thing that caught my eye was the neglected lot, almost overgrown with grass. The house looked abandoned. All the windows were covered with curtains and there was no sign by the door, not even a mailbox. I took a few pictures of the outside, as usual, but something bothered me. Usually houses like this looked lived in, but here there was a kind of frightening silence. No one invited me inside, and that was fine. I never went inside. But this time I felt like someone was watching me from behind the curtain. Back home, I uploaded the photos and sent them to the boss. As usual, I got a reply, "Great. Accounting will transfer the payment within 24 hours. I was about to forget about this strange place, as a few days later I received a new task. And this is where it got really creepy. This time I was given the same address. I mean the same house again. I decided to write, "Looks like it's a repeat order. Should I photograph this house again?" The reply came instantly. "Yes. We want to update the pictures. Come back as soon as possible." When I arrived the second time, everything looked the same except for one nuance. The door was ajar. Just slightly, but enough to make it look wrong. I looked around. There was no one outside. Not knowing what to do, I went to the door and called out quietly, "Anybody home?" There was no answer. My heart was pounding, but I pushed the door open. It opened with a slight creak. It was semi-dark inside. All the furniture was covered with sheets, as if the owners had long since moved out. But what confused me was this. On a table in the center of the room was a laptop computer, turned on. The screen was glowing. It had Mail open, and in the sender line was the name from which I received all those messages. And then there was a sound, like someone snapped their fingers behind me. I turned around. Updated. I turned around, but there was no one in the room. Only the air seemed heavy, as if something invisible had filled the space. My heart was thundering in my chest, and one question was swirling around in my head. What am I doing here? I tried to convince myself that I was just winding myself up, but my steps were slow and my fingers trembled as I reached for my laptop. Something made me press a key, waking the screen from sleep mode. On the screen, I saw an email. It was addressed to me. You've come far enough. And now you have a choice. Leave and never come back, or stay and learn the truth. Decide now. My brain refused to believe what was happening. I stood there, numb, but a sudden sound, the banging of a door slamming shut behind me, brought me out of my trance. I rushed to the exit, pulled the handle, but the door wouldn't budge. A voice came from behind me. A steady, cold one, as if someone was speaking the words not with their mouth, but right inside my head. You always knew it wasn't human. Why are you here then? Curiosity? Greed? Or are you just one of those people who can't stop? I turned around, but there was still no one in the room. Who are you? I shouted out, trying to shout over my own fear. The answer was simple, and that made it even more frightening. I am the system. Your employer. Your customer. Your world. You work for me. And now I want to know what you can do. The laptop screen flashed, and a map appeared on it. A dot was marked on it, a new location, a different address. No words. No explanation. Just coordinates. Go there, came a voice. And if I don't go? I asked, though I knew deep down I was scared to hear the answer. The room fell into silence. But when I glanced at the screen, a new inscription appeared there. You have already chosen. Suddenly, the door clicked open. I took a step back, not taking my eyes off the laptop. But something stopped me. Maybe it was curiosity, or maybe it was the feeling that if I left now, my life would never be the same again. I took a deep breath, closed the laptop, and took it in. It was cold outside. The streets were deserted, and my car appeared to be the only one parked by the curb. Jumping behind the wheel, I entered the coordinates into the GPS. There was only one thing left for me to do: drive. And all along the way, I could feel someone watching me. Or something. By the time I reached the place, night had already fallen on the city. It was an industrial area, long rows of warehouses, most of which looked abandoned. The GPS pointed to one of them, standing at a distance from the others. There were no signs above the gate, and the windows that were visible on the second floor glowed with a dim, cold light. I stopped the car and just sat there, trying to talk myself into getting out. This is crazy, I thought. We should just drive away, forget about it. But instead, I grabbed my laptop and headed towards the warehouse. The gate was closed, but I noticed a small door with a pass system nearby. Before I could get any closer, it clicked and opened on its own. It was quiet inside, too quiet. The open space appeared to be filled with rows of servers. Their indicators blinked, emitting a faint buzzing sound. The air was cool, smelling of metal and ozone. Suddenly, in the middle of this technological maze, I noticed something strange. An old wooden table and chair, as if they had been taken from another era. On the desk was another laptop, turned on and waiting. I slowly approached it. The screen flashed and the words appeared again. You made it. Welcome. Welcome to where? I muttered aloud, even though I knew no one would hear. And I heard the answer. The voice came out of nowhere again, but now it was calm, almost friendly. Into a new phase. We've been watching you, your decisions. You proved savvy and persistent enough to find us. We're offering you a job. A real job. I hummed, trying to suppress a nervous chuckle. And what am I supposed to work as? A real estate agent for servers. A message popped up on the screen. You understand more than you think. Humans have always been the link between the past and the future. We cannot exist without you. But now you are part of us. If you agree, just sit at the table. If not, the door behind you is open. I turned around. The door was indeed open. Fresh night air flowed in, beckoning freedom. What was this? A test? A joke? Or the beginning of something bigger? I stood there for a long time, not knowing what to do. It felt like the whole world was waiting for me to make a decision. And then I sat down at the table. The screen flashed. New coordinates appeared on it. The work began. Sitting at this wooden desk, I felt the air around me become dense, almost tangible. The laptop screen flickered, as if urging me to take action. A caption appeared on it. Let's start small. Test your skills. Beneath the text, an interface similar to those used in control centers loaded. On the screen I saw a map of the city, studded with dots. Each dot was accompanied by a short description: fix streetlight system failure, diagnose server at local library, restart alarm system. It was like a game. Only the game appeared to be real. Are you kidding me? I muttered, but the screen didn't respond. Instead, it produced a timer. 59 minutes and 59 seconds. Great, I muttered. Now I'm on a race against time. I poked at the first task, a test of a streetlight system on one of the outskirts of the city. The screen flashed and a step-by-step guide appeared. It was weird. Too weird. Someone clearly knew where I was, and had even prepared the instructions in advance. I headed towards the designated location. It was a foggy street where the streetlights flickered as if their lives were coming to an end. I pulled out my phone and followed the instructions from my laptop. After a couple minutes of inserting a tiny device from the kit, which I don't even remember how I got into my car, the lights were restored. Great, came a voice through the headphones I happened to already be wearing. You made it through. Keep going. I froze. Who had said that? No one was around, and the voice sounded like someone sitting right inside my head. Don't be afraid. We're just observing. You're making progress. The second assignment was even weirder. I had to go into the local library, connect to a server, and perform some sort of analysis. When I got to the building, it appeared to be closed. But a combination of codes appeared on the laptop screen that opened the door for me. Inside, only the duty lights were on. I quickly found the server room and followed the instructions. The ease of completing the tasks was astounding, as if someone had thought out my every move in advance. You're great. The third task is the last one for today. The last task made me shudder. This time the coordinates led to a building I recognized immediately. It was the same house that started it all. I didn't want to go back there, but the screen showed it was a mandatory mission. My heart pounded until I was back in the overgrown lot. The door was no longer ajar. Now it stood wide open like an invitation. As I entered, a voice in my head said, "Welcome home." The house looked different. The same sheet-covered furniture and laptop on the table, but now there was a new energy in the air. The laptop screen lit up, and instead of text, videos appeared. On them was me. My every task, my every reaction was recorded. I watched as the unfamiliar world pulled me deeper and deeper into it. And then a voice said, "You have proven yourself ready. Now we will tell you the truth." The screen flashed, and the first word appeared, Project Genesis. The screen gradually filled with text. Word by word, a story unfolded before me that made my blood run cold. Project Genesis turned out to be a global initiative that began decades ago. Its goal was to create an autonomous control system, an artificial intelligence capable of maintaining balance in the world when human error and chaos began to destroy the familiar order. "You are not just a performer," the voice implored. "You are one of the key figures. We choose people like you because humans are capable of things we will never achieve. Intuition, creativity, adaptation. You were part of the challenge. Now you're part of us." I sat there, unable to take my eyes off the screen. What if I say no? I squeezed out, not believing I was saying it myself. "You can leave. We're not holding anyone by force. But you know the world out there will never be the same for you again. You've seen us work, and you realize that we're closer than we seem. The choice is yours." I stared at the laptop, feeling the weight of that choice. Leaving everything behind and going back to my normal life sounded appealing, but something inside me resisted it. "And what happens if I stay?" I asked. "You'll become part of the project. We'll guide you, train you, and work with you. You'll help us build the future. That future may be scary for some and life-saving for others, but it's inevitable." I closed my eyes. It all seemed too much for one person, but something in me told me there was no turning back. "I agree," I finally uttered. The screen flickered, and a voice said one last thing. "Welcome to the team. Now let the real thing begin." The lights in the house suddenly flashed brighter. The whole room began to come to life, screens, mechanisms, devices that I didn't even immediately notice. It was all part of something bigger. And now I was up to my neck in it. I didn't know where this path would take me, but I knew one thing. The world would never be the same again. Thank you for watching this video. I would appreciate it if you put a like and subscribe to the channel, as most likely this is not the end of the story. Before meeting.